Alrighty, hey guys, welcome back to another discussion video, and today we will be speaking about this forum right over here. I said this forum, this thread right over here, and it's titled "Main Income Should Be Taxes, Not Battle Loot," with the dramatic periods. Okay, and we do have a dev response right here, plus I'm going to give my response to it as well, and we're going to go from there. So first, let's read what he has to say, the main guy, and then what the dev has to say. And I'll link this below like always, and let's do it. So the player states, the main source of income currently is battle loot. I don't think this was the way historically, nor does it make sense. Lords didn't go bankrupt in peacetime as we do in Bannerlord. That is true. I kind of agree with that. Wars is expensive, but you can make profit if you raid villages or take control of a resource, fief, or a trade route, as is the case right now in the world. The United States takes taxes from its people, wages wars from tax money, and gives oil digging rights from conquered countries to its companies. Okay, man's out here explaining how the world works now. I'm weak. I'm not reading the rest of this. I'm not reading the rest. YouTube's gonna clap me and be like, listen, you're talking a little bit too much about stuff. What are you doing? So we're not gonna include that part, alright? Listen. You can read it on the screen right now, but I'm just gonna boop. You know, if I feel like if I say any of these right here, I'm gonna get clapped. So it is what it is. But I get your point. That's not the main source. Nor should this be the case in Bannerlord. You shouldn't make so much money from battle loot. You should make money from pillaging villages. That is true. You should make a lot more from pillaging villages because you get barely anything, unless like it's the villages that produce horses, then it's kind of worth it. And I think that's the best village to actually raid. But other villages, nah. And fiefs in the upcoming feature, I think, and by ransoming lords. These things should be buffed as well as taxes mainly. Okay? Taxes should cover your parties. Well, they do. They cover your parties, though. They do cover your parties, so I don't know if... Okay. Let's continue. Even Warband, a 10-year-old game, did this. Taxes could support endgame army, and then some. If you need more money, you could raid villages or ransom the king. Warband Lord's ransom weren't so good. Okay, well, before we get to the dev response, your taxes can support your endgame army. That is, that does happen in this game. I do agree with the point that maybe battle loot shouldn't be the main focus, and there should be other ways to actually increase your wealth, right? Which there are, but battle loot is very profitable, and I think it shouldn't be the most profitable thing. But with that being said, I think that saying that your parties are not being able to be covered by taxes, that is false. They definitely can. I've played multiple since the game was released to the patches now. That is still the case, regardless. But okay, what do we got here? What is this? Okay, what? I don't know exactly why this is placed here. I guess he's saying that like war isn't everything, right? Okay, or taking over everything isn't everything. Okay, there it is. Well, we got a historically. Ooh, here we go. Oh man, everybody's going historically on him. Jesus Christ. All right. Let's see what the dev has to say. So the dev actually responded to this guy. Interesting, because I'm guessing he has some things that he wants to talk about. But all right. So he adds him and says, we discussed this in other posts also. Okay, so let's see what he has to say. Let's see what this guy has to say. I think they should lower the price for gear drastically. Oh, the devs have talked about that. Okay, yeah, just by that first line, the devs have talked about that. Tier 1 gear should probably cost as little as 10% of what it currently does. Used cloth gear, stinking of looter's sweat, could maybe serve as materials for sacks and carts. Recycling price more or less if the material has a value. True, I don't think that like some torn clothes at some point should be worth 67 gold. You know what I mean? I think they should be worth in the single digits. I do agree with that. Tier 2 could cost around 30% of what it does. Militia might have to use some. The rest is recycled. Tier 3 gear might hold some real value. I'd say 50% of the current value. Militia and merchant guards Does probably find useful stuff here and should afford it. Tier 4 gear is real stuff, but warriors and professional soldiers as well as veteran militia and merchant guards should afford this. Okay. Okay, so what he's saying pretty much is the highest gear should stay its cost, you know what I mean, of being very, very expensive. And then other than that, just slowly chip off the price. And the smallest, and the lowest tier gear should be worth barely anything. And that's worth a little bit too much. True. And then he states real troops should at least 100% more expensive to upgrade and higher, at least from tier 4. I agree with this. This is a good point. I think there should be a lot less tier 4 and above troops on the battlefield. I think this because there's just too much now. It just feels like half of the world are professional fighters. You know what I mean? Even more than that. Probably like 60% are professional tier 4 or up fighters. And that's just, that's not usually how, armies really work. You know what I mean? Not everyone's a professional, but I know people like to say, oh, your history isn't good. Whatever, man. I'm just saying it should be a smaller amount that are tier 4 and above, and the other ones should be kind of lower. Okay, let's see what the dev has to say to this, though. We discussed this in other posts, too. I also think equipment prices need a rework. Not my area, but I write it consequentially also, and also it is easy to make upgrades more expensive. However, real problem is currently 1 times tier 5 troop is equal to 3 times looters in simulations, and 1 tier 5 troop is equal to 4 times looters at missions. Okay, so simulations, I'm guessing that's just the way they say simulations and missions. I'm pretty sure I don't want to get this wrong, but I think simulations is where you send troops, and missions is where you actually do it. Like you actually fight it out. So making them more expensive and hard will not make much sense. If we do this, then upgrading troops will not be logical behavior. Leaving them at tier 2/3 will be more logical in current situation of game. I'm not working on calculations of armor bonus effects and weapon damage calculations, but only if we can make 1 times tier 5 troop equals 6, 7, 8 looters in both mission simulation. Then we will want 2, 3, or 4 times the cost of upgrading troops to high tiers like 4 or 5. Okay, so there was some discussion in the past video that I did where you guys didn't really agree with me, where I said that I think it's good that 1 tier 5 troop is equal to 3 looters. I'm going to backpedal a little bit. I think 1 to 3 probably isn't the best. Maybe 1 to 4 or maybe 1 to 5 would be better. I agree with that. Do I think 1 tier 5 troop should beat 6, 7, or 8 looters? No. That's overboard in my opinion. But that's my opinion. But I think that's overboard. I think, let's see, that's a hard one to tackle. Because, like, in the game currently, how can I explain this? I feel like as you get stuff rolling, you never really think about upgrades. You never really think, should I upgrade? Should I not upgrade? Maybe in the beginning when you don't have any income or passive income, then you really think about, okay, how much am I wasting per day? And even then, you can still snowball, but just keep getting into constant fights and keep increasing your income. So, whenever it comes to a troop upgrade, you're just like, ooh, I got an upgrade. Boom, hit it. Boom, hit it. Boom, hit it. And you don't really think about it as much. And I don't know how you would tackle that problem. Or if even if it is a problem, maybe it's not a problem. Maybe people, maybe that's exactly how it's supposed to be played. I don't know. But, again, like I said before, I think that I like the fact that, a tier 5 troop, even heavily armored, can be taken down by a group of tier 1 or tier 2 troops, like looters, very easily. I know a lot of you guys said it doesn't make sense, but I think it kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? I think even a trained fighter, if there's 4 or 5 troops and they work kind of together, they'll be able to take him down. Yes, sometimes they'll win, but they should be able to take him down. That's just my opinion. But you know, if you look at the movies, then yeah, you can be like, oh, shoot, that one guy took out so many in that movie or in that. But in real life, if you're in a street fight, for example, and there's one of you and there's 5 of those guys, you could be a really good fighter. You know what I mean? You could be an expert boxer, but you're not taking on 5 guys. You know what I mean? You're not taking on 4 guys. You know what I mean? It's different, obviously, for this because obviously you have a lot better armor and stuff. But just in general, I think it's good that a group of lower tier can take down a higher tier. And the higher tier doesn't become like this huge like sponge for damage and just like this overall impossibly hard to take down troop. I don't think that's good for the game either. And I think that's one of the things that I like about this game. And also, I like how your main character can't become like this absolute god on the battlefield. Yes, you could become significantly better, but you cannot become like this god on the battlefield where you're just going to be like, oh, I'm level so-and-so, so I'm just going to go 1v25, easy. You know what I mean? You could do it with some arrows and some horses and it would take a lot of time. Yes, it's possible. But it's not like you go in there with a one-handed sword and you're just like, wah, 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 and you get everybody. That's not the type of game this is. So that's what I like about it. I like the fact that no single one unit is like super crazy. If you still want to fight big fights, you need to have big numbers too, regardless if they're tier 5 or they're tier 1. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But if you know, you know. If you don't, then I don't know how else to explain it. I'm kind of going all over the place, but let's finish this response. So first, we should make high-tier troops more powerful, both combat and simulations. Then changes can make sense. Also, if you make looters give 25% of current value of loot, sometimes like 50 gold from 20 looters, then new players can have more problems at early game. Of course, real solution of this is increasing variety of starting level easy and rewarding issues, but game does not have enough of them currently. Wait. Of course, real solution of this is increasing the variety of starting level easy and rewarding issues, but game currently does not have enough of them currently. Okay, so I think he's talking about, like, I guess quests and missions, right? Because issues are kind of like quests and missions, and they don't have enough early ones. Okay. Again, like I said, I think we're in a good spot. I think if you want to make them a little bit stronger, I'm okay with it, but don't make them like these absolute beasts. You know what I mean? I don't think they will either. It's not like I'm out here like stressed about it. I think that the current setup is good in my opinion. I think a lot of people like it. If you were to buff them a little bit, I don't think anybody would really care, but just don't buff them too hard because then you're just going to see a lot of people just rolling around with like 20 of this unit that's super, super powerful and taking down armies of 300. You know what I mean? You don't want your game to get to that point. But if it doesn't get to that point, I'm fine with the buff. I think it's probably needed, in my opinion. And it probably will then give way to actually increasing the amounts and also decreasing what the value of gear is. So there it is. Let me know if you guys agree. Ask me any questions, any concerns, and like always, stay safe.